I feel the same way if I were part of a shonen franchise that just doesn't know when to end. We open this one with us learning where Kimitaka got his fish lips from. Oh, and also he got some Sentai toys. But why did you get me the ones with the dinosaur symbols on them? Those shouldn't be there. Any kids of the 90s will get that. Going into the episode proper, Pop was trying to explain how her class were going to do a little cheerleading routine for their upcoming sports festival, and everyone gave her just the right amount of attention, which was next to nothing. I mean, come on, how good of a school can it be if they can't even spell kindergarten right? Anyway, Pop's class were practicing their little routine for the festival, which did require everyone's cooperation, which Kimitaka didn't have much of. Then again, fundamentally, some of this stuff didn't look like it would be that easy to perform for little kids. Well, at least he's honest. Also, oh god, I just remembered this guy has the same VA as Hachitaro. Oh, how I can't wait for the day when I can talk like a normal person. Good take, right, guys? Yeah, I know I keep piling on this guy, but I think he actually sounds even worse when he's not playing the octopus, as at least with that image, I can associate his awkward inflections as being from an otherworldly creature. Here, when he's playing Junichi or Yamauchi, he does not sound like he gives a damn about anything going on, which takes me out of the scene. It's even more apparent when you put him opposite someone very talented like Junko Takeuchi, who would go on to play one of the most recognizable shonen protagonists ever. Yeah, she's playing an annoying little brat in Kimitaka here, but at least I believe he's a brat. TLDR, I am glad this guy pretty much retired after this series ended because he really did not have any talent for voice acting. Anyway, Kimitaka refused to move to a center position, as that would mean he'd have to surrender his ability to climb atop the human pyramid in the latter part of the performance. They fixed the problem by switching the middle position with another kid, and thus they were able to move on to the next part of the performance, which again just makes me ask, they expected little kids to do this? I always knew Ace Ventura was actually a horror movie. They were able to resolve this problem by having Pop switch out with her, which even gave her the added benefit of almost getting Junichi's attention if he hadn't been busy simping for his squid wife in another dimension. Meanwhile, Kimitaka was still being a problem child by forcibly trying to climb over everyone else. And unless he could cooperate properly, they would have to switch him out too. And yes, this would be the main conflict of the episode, with Pop only really getting involved because she thought Kimitaka was distracting Junichi from her, ignoring how she just saw the dude pursuing a workplace romance.
Riveting.
They continue practicing, but Kimitaka's group did with Pop this time because this episode doesn't have enough simps. I mean, yeah, while Kimitaka is being difficult to work with, it doesn't really excuse how these boys don't even try to cooperate with him in turn. Thus, I really don't feel bad for them and Pop during this next scene. And it's totally not my fault for following through with this little Scooby-Doo routine. Thankfully, she did start to recognize Kimitaka's efforts when she saw him practicing and failing after school. And after hearing about how his dad was coming to see their performance, and knowing that he was often away on business in Hokkaido, Pop was able to put two and two together. Thus, she snuck out that night with her fairy partner covering for her. No, yeah, that's barely been a thing at all, along with her even being able to use magic throughout this whole series. Fortunately, we finally got to the one notable scene this whole episode, at least for me, as Pop used her magic to conjure up some trading partners for Kimitaka. Come on, Toy, give us a proper Precure and Sentai crossover, you know you want to. But yeah, as a Sentai fan, while I do appreciate this scene, I think there's a bit of a missed opportunity here not having these parody rangers at least be voiced by actual Sentai actors that they would have access to. Then again, maybe they were just busy. I mean, it's not as though they don't already have actors a part of this show's cast. Oh wait. Seriously, let this dude ham it up as a parody of his old character. He'd probably turn in a better performance than anything he's done as Mr. Harukaze so far. Anyway, we got one of the weirdest crossovers ever, with Naruto trying to stand atop some Sentai, and it went about as well as all the other attempts. Thankfully, going by Toy Story rules, these life-size action figures inherited the personalities of the characters they were based on, and they gave a pretty good talk about the importance of teamwork and all that. Yeah, a pretty typical message from a country that puts almost absolute emphasis on the group dynamic, so I do understand why they push these sorts of morals as much as they do. Then, of course, once he stopped jumping on them like a monkey, Kimitaka finally reached the top. With that, he was able to take what he learned from what he interpreted as a dream and applied it to their routine, even though, you know, it's hard to maintain the memories of dreams, but whatever. As a result, he earned everyone's respect after breaking their backs several times over, and they were all set for the sports festival, though the weather didn't agree with them. Yeah, this is mostly just here to remind us that the rest of the Ojamajo were here, and an excuse to use their once per episode magical stage to clear away the clouds. That said, the rain had already done its job, and they really shouldn't have done their routines in the mud, but I guess we had to end the episode with another Naruto smile or something. This is yet another kind of bleh episode, which is something we've actually been seeing a lot of across the different series we've been covering for this channel as of late. The main problem definitely lies with the spotlight character in Kimitaka, who, while not offensive like other characters I can think of, there's just not that much to this character, and his conflict with Ernie as far as attention wasn't all that well fleshed out. It really says something when I can't even really criticize Mitsuru Aoyama's animation in this one, when everything else in this episode is just as unimpressive. Sympathetic bully characters are a bit of a tricky archetype to tackle. I mean, I have seen a lot of good examples in my time, as it was kind of a thing for Western entertainment in the 90s, though the thing about characters like Harold Berman or Jem Stone was that they were commonly reoccurring characters. Thus, we were able to get a better scope of why they were considered to be bullies, and yet also subtly see more vulnerable sides to them. Nothing that makes us sympathize immediately with them, because frankly, bullies shouldn't get an instant pass, but we can start to empathize with them. Hence why I don't think Kimitaka can quite work as a spotlight character, at least not without a few more significant appearances. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is his only third major role and appearance in the show, with his previous two coming from the previous season, where for the most part he was a basic bully. He did kind of have a sympathetic moment when Pop's ghost prank went awry, but for the most part, he was more of just an obstacle than anything else. Meanwhile, Pop herself has had a significantly reduced role in the show due to the focus needing to go more towards Hana, so it's hard to get into any of her issues at school, including those of her classmates. The one bit of this episode that did kind of work, at least for me, were the Battle Rangers. Again, while there were some obvious missed opportunities, I do inherently like my Sentai / Power Rangers parodies, and these guys were spot on to their goody two-shoes nature, while also having a bit of a cynical edge to them when Kimitaka tried to climb them and they started to say ow and complained all the while he kept knocking them over. That was hilarious. However, with a very basic absentee father story that's not even all that heart-wrenching as he's just away on business a lot, it's hard to get invested in Kimitaka's plight. Kimitaka needed at least a few more significant appearances before this, because otherwise, overall, this is a pretty forgettable episode, much like the Red Ojamajo, who has meant a lot less ever since the start of the second season. Work on the final part of the Futai reviews is underway, and after that, we might do a few more miscellaneous projects. We might do a few more Dojisi reviews, or hell, since Halloween is just a couple months away, we might also start working on something for that. Whatever lies ahead, do look forward to it. And until then, though, farewell for now, my friends. And if you'll excuse me, I'm just gonna go check out my bids for this vintage Dragon Dagger on eBay. Okay, come on, almost there. Damn it, I got sniped.